doesn't interest me, Jay.
No, me either. Is it the materials that are in the vaccine, do you think, or is it something else that caused this to happen to this guy?
It's the materials in the vaccine. I mean, I think a lot of people at this point have heard about the thimerosal, which is 49% mercury. And, the FDA has a certain upper limit for the amount of mercury that is above which is toxic in the body, namely 25 micrograms. I think most people who look at the whole thing of heavy metals, especially things like mercury, understand that any amount is toxic. Doses of the vaccine, if it's a multi-use vaccine, which has the thimerosal as a preservative, allow a person to get as much as 10 times that amount.
Right.
Squalene.
You need to come back and do a whole show on mercury poisoning. It's one of my... no, that is really the scariest subject ever.
Well, I have some very, very, very personal experience with that as well. And,
yeah, I know you do.
Indeed, I have firsthand information about just how scary that can possibly be. And
it is.
We all need to be careful of that.
It's one of these things
another part of this whole thing is what they call the adjuvants, and the most famous one being squalene. And this is something that's added to the vaccine to enhance its potential so that less of the material is needed. And there has been a book written, there have been a lot of papers written about Gulf War syndrome being the result of the squalene contained in the anthrax vaccine that was given to the soldiers. And it didn't really matter whether the soldiers were in the Gulf or not. The ones who got the adjuvant squalene were the ones who ended up with Gulf War syndrome, and those who, whether they were at home or abroad. And those who didn't get that did not turn out to get the Gulf War syndrome.
There you go. So we're going to be right back.
There's two of the many, many parts that can create problems in this vaccine.
Yep. We're talking to Steve Oakley. I'm Jay Weidner. You're listening to Smoke and Mirrors, and we're talking about the vaccines and illness and a lot of things. So stay tuned and come back. Thanks for listening. Back. Got a lot of ground to cover here, so I want to get back to the guest. I want to remind everybody that my new film, Infinity, The Ultimate Trip, is out. If you'd like to get any information on that, just go to sacredmysteries.com or jayweidner.com. And you can hear this show on jayweidner.com, Rents Radio Network, which is at rents.com. We're all over the place. And we're on the satellite, broadcast around the world into the universe. Traveling at the speed of sound. Or is it light? I can't remember. Anyway, we're talking to Steve Oakley. He is the man of the hour. Let us continue now. Okay, so let's put to bed this whole thing about this vaccine. They could be just a bunch of idiots who think that this is actually doing us good. Right?
Well, no, I don't think that's the case, because I happen to know that, as we all know, that the nurses in New York are refusing to take this vaccine. Doctors that I speak to and biochemists have no intention of taking this vaccine or allowing anybody in their family to take the vaccine. So there, of course, may be a handful of people out there that are as dumb as posts that are thinking that this is a good thing, and I'm talking about people in the medical field. People at large who are trusting the information that's coming out of the medical community and from the government, it's difficult to blame these people for lining up, as I saw in the news today, 2.5 blocks long, thousands of people to get the vaccine, because they're busy. Where the economy is failing, people are working 2 jobs. This is what I do. I research this kind of thing, and make an effort to understand these things as you do. But not everybody has that opportunity. I mean, that's why your show is so valuable, so that the people that do have the opportunity to tune in for an hour can learn a thing or two about this. So is there a conspiracy behind it, which is, your real question? Well, True Ott, of course, has covered that territory pretty well, and I'm going to defer to him in that way. It's just not my area of expertise. I'm more interested, really, and my area of research is the science in all of this, but there certainly seems to be a complicitousness in the creation of this thing, this thing being the vaccine, that is a little scary.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Well, I don't know what's going to happen. Some people think it could be the trigger for some kind of violent response or something. I don't know. I'm worried because Obama has placed the military in charge of this thing, which I think is a violation of certain constitutional laws, and I'm just worried. I'm worried about the whole thing. It stinks. And
well, if it gets to be mandatory, then people are really going to who have done their homework are going to have some hard decisions to make, especially people whose employment depend on it, or there's some suggestions being made that one might not be able to conduct commerce. We'll see. We'll see how all that comes down. But my effort is to really ensure that people are informed to the extent that they need to be, so that when the time comes, if indeed it does, they can make those hard decisions. I mean, first make the decision that it's probably not a good idea to pursue this thing, because there is fundamentally a superior option, and we call that health. And that's the thing that's really most worth pursuing here.
Yes, we have a couple minutes before the break, and so I wanted you to use that time to segue from this vaccine and this virus to some of the theories that you have about all of this. I know it's a lengthy question, but you get it in hold, and then we can come back and really hit it for the last half hour.
Well, let's move into that when we do come back, and let me just take this last bit of time here to talk just a little bit more about the H1N1 and this test, this PCR test that I already mentioned, just to clarify what it isn't. It's kind of like, when they explode and magnify this debris from the swab and make a certain determination because of this biochemical multiplication process, then they've got little bits and pieces of stuff. And it's kind of like going through the garbage dump and finding bits and pieces of stuff after the bulldozer has pushed things around and it's been sitting there rotting for 500 years, and in whatever way that the garbage has been disturbed remarkably since it was originally put there. And all you've got are artifacts and pieces. And trying to take from those artifacts and pieces and suggest that it was once this thing or that thing. And you can make suppositions like that, and they may or may not be correct, but to the extent that they may not be correct, it's a dangerous course to tread. I mean, when the crop circles appear in southern England, many people infer that those are the result of extraterrestrial activity. Well, maybe, but maybe it's something else altogether. After all it is tracks in the crop. That's what we're seeing. And so that's why, people like you and me are very interested in that, and we're scratching our head. But until we've got further evidence, it's just circumstantial, and there's no clarity about what it really is. So that's the test for H1N1. There's no conclusion that can be drawn from this test. When it is done,
that's an eye-opener.
When it is done, which it's not.
Yeah. Phew. Okay. We're talking to Steve Oakley. I'm Jay Weidner. You're listening to the Smoke and Mirrors Radio Hour. We're on every Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 in the Pacific. Rebroadcast 6 to 7 in the morning, 9 to 10 on the East Coast and everywhere else. So tell your friends. We'll be right back.